Hi, welcome back to the Throttle Cable. I'm Rob, and today I've got a little bit of time to do a cheeky little upgrade on the car, and it's for some Porsche GT3 brake ducts for the front end of the car. The reason I'm doing it primarily is because it's so ruddy cheap. I went along to the Porsche dealership and these cost me £5.86 for the two, which in the world of normal Porsche tax is quite extraordinary really. Whilst I was there, I had to get some new nuts to mount all of the heatsink guards around the exhaust on the 996, and 10 of those cost me over £20, so it just goes to show what a relative bargain these are. So what's the point? Well, they add a bit more cooling to the brakes, which should help with any brake fade, should it ever be a thing. But in reality, the main reason I did it was because I was at the Porsche dealer. They were so cheap, I thought, yeah, why not? So I'm going to put them on the car, show you how it's done, and yeah, in the future when I look to upgrade the discs and pads, it should help them out a little bit. Anyway, here we go. A quick look at these little bits of plastic. So they're exactly the same, just reverse left to right as you'd expect, and they just clip over the arms of the suspension with these fixings at the back. So relatively straightforward, they snap straight on. Part codes are printed on here, so they're a 997 part code off of the GT3, and there we go for the right hand side too. As you might expect, it's only the third digit from the end that is different left to right, just to signify which is the left one and which is the right hand side one. But I'll pop these in the description anyway, just to make it nice and easy. Hopefully you can see this one okay, but because I've got the good fortune of having a GT3 in the garage, I can compare exactly how this mounts across the lower arm, and you can see where it is, and you can see where it is in relation to the steering rack as well, which just comes across the top. The 996 one has a little cutout at the top where it dips, just so you don't get any interference between the guard and the steering column. So I'm just going to check the same on the 996 to make sure I'm not going to get any fouling of that, otherwise I can just make a little indentation like you do get on the 996 one, which is a little semicircle. I'll show you the difference to those right now, so you can see the difference in the cut and how much lower this one comes, and it scoops the air from underneath the floor panel of the car. See how much it sticks down below, and those veins are just channeling the air across to the disc. I've just quickly whipped off the left hand side duct, and you can see the shape of them now overlaid directly one on top of the other. So I've lined up the mounting points so we've got a true representation of what they look like. This is the little cutout for the steering rack. Now at the moment, with the car in the air, the suspension's at its maximum extension, and it's nowhere near this at the moment, and when it compresses, all that's going to do is move away. So I don't think there's going to be any fouling whatsoever with these GT3 style ducts, and this is this extra piece for channeling the air underneath the floor of the car towards the brake ducts. So you can sort of see how much more surface area you get from these versus the 996 one. Another thing I noticed as well is that these have a scoop continuous across the top line, whereas this one flicks up after this break in the moulding. It swoops back up again, so that's another difference. But of course this one also seems to extend even further to the right hand side as well. So yeah, a lot more volume. Looks like it's going to be caught from here versus here, so you can obviously see the benefit in the design when you overlay the two. Just quickly to show the clearance to the steering rack, that's what you end up with once the guard is on. The 996 one, it actually seems like the little bulb, the cutout, isn't aligned to the steering rack. So I'm just going to show you on the other side comparatively what it looks like when the car's level on the ground. Okay, well hopefully you can see then, that is the cutout on the other guard, this little swoop, and it doesn't really seem like it's aligned to the steering rack at all, and I don't think it gives any help whatsoever. So it's an odd, peculiar little thing that. Maybe a little bit of over-engineering that they decided on the GT3 was a bit silly. Anyway, let's get this one on, I'll show you how it's done. So I'm at the front right of the car. This is the 996 brake duct on there already. So a couple of things to note. On the casting up here, this little tab locates into two bits of the cast. So you can make sure you've got the duct in the right place. You can just see the casting there. As you move along, you've got these little tabs that have to sit inside the arm. And it is the same underneath. If I can get down here, you'll see tabs have to come inside the arm. Now on the other side is where you find the clip. So if I look at the one off the other side of the car,
these just swoop around the back of the arm and clip on. So when you're putting it on, that has to connect in there. But obviously when you're feeding it through, it's like they have to go underneath the control arm. You feed it through and then you loop that back over and clip it back on. It's pretty straightforward. It takes about 2 or 3 minutes to swap them over. I'm just looking at the rear side of the arm here. So that's one of the tabs and that's one of the tabs. So all I'm going to use is a flathead screwdriver to pry these clips off. And once they're released, it's just a real simple case of just pulling it straight forward and it's done. To undo them, if you apply a bit of pressure top and bottom like this, it spreads the clips open and it makes it a lot easier just to pop them off. But literally, once you're at this point, it's a 30-second job to whip that off and another 30-second job to clip the next one on. So I've just released the 2 clips on the back, so now it is just a case of off she comes. Really is that simple. Right, next one back on. Okay, there it is, all in the right place. If you look at those centering lugs, you can see that is just snapped right in the middle. Then everything is clipped back into place. It's a pretty satisfying clip when it all goes right into the right place, so you know when you've got it in the right spot. And the clips on the back, as long as you put a little bit of pressure top and bottom, literally facing from the front, you can just put them back and hear them snap back into place left and right. And that's it, the whole thing is on. A bit more airflow to the brakes, job done.